Anita for cutting my mom out of my and my child's life because she remains close to my wife's abuser. I am really going through hell right now. So, I have always had a good relationship with my mom. She was a single mom and worked really hard to give me everything. I always thought I had a great family. My mom has a best friend, Alex, and a few years ago when my wife was looking for a job, my mom put a word in and got her hired working for Alex. My wife's moods began changing, and she became distant. I finally got her to confess what was wrong, and she told me that Alex is a pervert. He made degrading jokes, joked about wanting her to give him a and every time she made a mistake at work, he would talk about disciplining her. He even made her and his secretary line up against a wall and took his belt off, but never touched them. I was furious and wanted to go and kill that guy. I told her to report it, but she was too scared, so we called my mom. My mom was pissed, and she got Alex to stop. She also asked my wife if she wanted to get her transferred so she didn't have to work for him. I'm happy she stepped in and helped, but I thought she would cut him off. They remained best friends. My wife told me she couldn't have my mom in her life anymore if she was going to be close to Alex, so she went no contact and I was low contact. My wife is now pregnant and we are over the moon, but she doesn't want my mom to meet the baby due to her support of Alex. I told my mom that she had to choose between us or him, and I couldn't have her in my life if she supported him. She asked for some time to think, and I gave her that. Well, she just got back to me that she's sorry she has to choose, but he is the only person who has been consistently there for her. He was the only one in the room when my sister was born. He is the only person who was there for her when she was going through some personal stuff a few years ago, and she understands we have our own lives, but at the end of the day, he is the only person who she feels really cares. I was heartbroken, but told her she made her choice, and I have to go. No contact. She seemed genuinely sad, but said she was confident in her choice. Now the rest of the family is furious and saying I never should have made her choose, and I'm heartless. Here are some very interesting comments. The first one is from Oki-Try-857. NTA, your mother is enabling an abuser. She can't be trusted to bring safe people around your future child. If she's forgiven him for this, it's likely she's forgiven him for many other things. You are making a sane and healthy choice and being an awesome partner. I'm so sorry your wife was sexually abused. I would strongly suggest she speak with a therapist to head off any potential PTSD, especially in preparation for childbirth. The same for you as well. You are experiencing a loss and rejection from your mother. You would be surprised by how easy it is to bend boundaries once you have a child. It's hard to hear loved ones tell you how awful you are for keeping a grandchild for their grandparent, even if it was your mother's choice. Here is another one. It is from Jen Smith 2005-5002. I read these all the time and think, this can't be real. Until I was talking with someone today who told me a story that read like one on Reddit. I am really sorry that your mom doesn't believe you will care for her more than her friend. She is choosing this person over her grandchild. That is mind-blowing. NTA, of course. This comment is from any biomed geek. NTA. She made her choice, and the fact that her choice is an abuser, not her son, is despicable. How could you ever trust her to watch a baby girl if that perv is around? Nurse Penguin 36 replies to any biomed geek. I suspect she has a history of choosing bad men. I had a similar situation with a friend who consistently chose bad men because they paid for her. She had a wildly out-of-control dog that she literally allowed to attack people. She refused to do anything about it, saying he was the only one who was truly there for her, so he could do whatever he wanted. Crazy. Gloriu Borresia replies to Nurse Penguin 36 and tells their own story. I just recently cut off a friend whose boyfriend is one of those possessive types who acts like an asshole to all her friends. He said some words I didn't like, particularly a slur referring to disabled people, of which one of my little sisters is one. Then messaged me to try and rile me up and also called me a slur and some other choice words. Because I set my boundaries and told her I wasn't comfortable with him or her anymore, she took his side and said she couldn't speak on what he said and that I must understand how she feel about this. Cut her off after that one. Now, another comment on the original post. It is from you, MustyBB3 Joe Keran. NTA. She made a choice. In my opinion, it was a gross choice. Picking my kid and future grandkid over some guy who harassed my DIL is nuts, but she picked him. It probably hurts. I am sorry for you, but to be honest, she will eventually regret this. Once you hold your kid, it will further astound you she chose him over her kid. Just try to be the best parent you can be. Learn from her mistakes and surround that kid with love. Side note, her response was a bit passive-aggressive, highly suggesting she chose him because you weren't there for her like he was. You are not an AH. Rather, your mom is an AH, a big AH for prioritizing a man who harassed your wife over you and your family. It is pathetic and totally unacceptable. Cutting such a selfish mom from the family is the best decision. Now let's move on to another one. Ita for asking my wife to spend all her savings. M, a 34 years old, married to the love of my life. A 33-year-old F. My wife is kind, nurturing, and motivated in her career. She does a lot for me at home since I work long hours. We married 4 months ago, dated for 8 years. We're both easygoing and have the same sense of humor and rarely argue. I make 4x more money. I'm in healthcare, but she makes a good salary as well. Since I make 4x what she does, I tend to pay for most things. Dinners, weekend trips, mall shopping, which I absolutely do not mind. With bigger purchases, we pay for things together in proportion to what we make. She's usually okay with paying her share of things, 1/4 of the rent and groceries, and will sometimes offer to pay for dinners and dates. She's very close with her best friends. She has 4. They're great people, but they're basically attached to the hip and talk daily in a group chat, which is fine. Everyone needs a support system. I have similar friends. Her and her 4 friends have a combined savings account together for investing in something together. They've each been putting in a few $100s per month. I've known about this for years and didn't love the idea initially, which I expressed. But she was adamant she wanted this, and at the time, we weren't hurting for the money, and it was ultimately her money and her decision. We are now looking to buy a home in one of the most expensive real estate markets in the U.S. She expresses that she doesn't have much in her own savings, but has $20K of her own money tied in with her friends' combined savings. Over the last year, they've been told by 2 financial advisors that 5 people attempting to invest together in real estate or stocks or a business wasn't a great idea. And they also recommended to split the funds to 5 separate accounts, since the account is under one of the friends' names, and there are tax implications for having that amount of money to her name, $100K. The homes we're looking at need around $60 to $70K for a down payment. I stated I was willing to spend nearly all my savings for the down payment for a home, $50K. So I told her she should pull that money from her joint friends account to help with the down payment. It's a huge purchase, and I don't think it should be my burden alone. She got really upset and told me, I don't want to touch that money. I promised my friends it would be for investing together. We should look for a less expensive home then, maybe a fixer-upper, she then stated. It would be easier for you to accrue the money back since you make so much more. This was very frustrating, and I told her, it's unfair I have to spend nearly all my savings and you don't. Your friend fund is stupid, and it's stupid not to use that money for our future home. Ita for asking her to use her own cash from her friend's account. Break that promise to her friends so we can buy a nice home together. Here are some top comments on the post. Let me get you through them one by one. The first comment is from StarbyBarbie99. Wait, so she and her friends have a shared savings account that they've been adding to together with the intent of eventually investing in, as in the money is currently just sitting there in one person's account. NTA, that is absolutely ridiculous. I could see the value in having a shared bank account between close friends for the purpose of going on trips and vacations together, since you could just pull money for deposits instead of playing the Venom game, but this is ridiculous and makes it seem like she cares more about planning for her future with her friends than with her own husband. Yikes. Also, maybe I just live somewhere really expensive, but I'm shocked that $60–70K isn't already the minimum down payment possible on a fixer-upper. Another comment from outside_guidance 4752. NTA, married or not, I would not buy a house with someone who would rather have an uncertain investment fund with friends than help me with the down payment of our shared house and considers my savings our savings and her savings her savings. Also, I don't fault you for calling the fund stupid because it sounds stupid since 2 financial planners have said it's ill-advised and told them to split it up again. Another interesting comment, it is from Expression Mundane 244. She pretty much doesn't have her own savings, but has $20K in an account that it's not even on her name? I don't care how good friends they are, but this is super dangerous. I understand having an account with friends for trips or other activities, but for investing? Why? Makes no sense. Even worse, this money is sitting there without any investments or plans. Honestly, I would not buy a house with her until she put the same effort. Not the same money, but the same willing and work in this. You want to use all your savings in a house for both of you. While she doesn't want to contribute, it's not like she doesn't have the money. She does. Her priorities are her friends and this so-called investment account, rather than you and your life together. She showed you her priorities. It's up to you to listen to her. One more interesting comment from Best Chick Ever. Are the other friends married? Any chance this is their joint Escape My Bad Marriage fund? Here is a reply to Best Chick Ever's comment. I think friends have this account to keep money away from their husbands. Some kind of f*** you money. The initial idea may be not bad, but the fact that it is in one friend's name, in addition to the fact that you finance her whole life and her savings is hers while yours is ours, is terrible. You know you do not have to play this game and can say me or friends. You know you can stop paying for 3-4 and ask her to contribute more instead of depositing money in that stupid account, right? You say she is sweet and nice wife, but this wife is screwing you and it seems she does not have much respect for you. I would not buy a house with a person like this. Imagine if the situation would be reversed and you would be the female. A thoughtful comment from Rainbow_Car2. Okay, not a lawyer, but I do work in contracts. Your wife needs to withdraw her $20K pronto, whether it goes to your down payment or not. Unless they had an attorney draft something up. The other friends all have zero claim to that money now sitting with the one person. It will just be seen as a gift. Text records won't do much of anything to help. I'm assuming they're trying to qualify for some sort of minimum wealth management threshold together, which is usually from $500,000 to $1 million USD. But they all should just have individual ETF funds and stop trying to do whatever sophisticated nonsense they think they need to be doing to invest. She's wasted so much money with it, just sitting in that account. Also, assuming you care about your wife, if the friend does withdraw and take it, it will ruin her entire trust and love for this friend group she clearly cares so much about. That's maybe the thing you want to focus on here. How fragile this financial structure makes her friend group dynamic, since the $20K amount is so trivial to her. Edit NTA because this is stupid. 1962 Michael comments, everyone sucks here. You've known her 8 years and married only 4 months. You're both AHs for not discussing every detail of your finances before you got married. Both AH for expecting the other person to change stuff after marriage that wasn't discussed before. You're AH for demanding she give up her nest egg. Obviously, she is in an inferior financial position here, and she may need to have a bit of money of her own saved up in case the relationship does not last. It is possible that these women think of this as a divorce fund. Your wife is AH for trusting anyone to hold $20K for her like this. I'm assuming none of these friends are professional bankers or investors. It was always a bad idea, but at this point that is or should be joint assets, and it's not right for her to withhold all of it and expect you to pay everything. Finally, you're AH for suggesting that her $20K is the difference between you having a nice home together. That small amount will not affect the financing of a house. If it does, you are overextending yourselves. Here is another comment from Beru. NTA, you two do not save/budget well enough for her to have this account, or you don't earn enough. One or the other. You said the down payment is $60K, $70K. You have $50K saved to her near none. You make 4x what she does. As a 20% down payment is typical, That's like a 350K house, unless you're intending to only put down 10%. If it's 20%, that's not a high COL area. If it's 10%, then a bit more understandable. But still. But if she's making 25K to your 100K, she doesn't need to be putting 10% of her pre-tax income into this account. And those wages are about the limit of what makes sense for your savings, unless you are investing heavily in retirement, etc. If you're making 200K to her 50K or 300K to her 75K, then her putting $100 away every month isn't too bad, but neither of you is saving enough if the intent is a house. Whether it's intentional or not, she's spending like you'll eternally bankroll her. And that isn't okay. Sounds like it's time for a come-to-Jesus conversation. If it's 25K, 100K, she has no business putting 10% plus of her pre-tax income in an account like this. She's only able to do so because you're bankrolling 95% of everything else. If it's 75K, 300K, then both of you are probably living beyond your means, but she certainly is. Maybe you're investing heavily, but she has nothing in savings. $100, $200 a month from her isn't so bad at that level. It's spending essentially every other dime she earns and expecting you to foot the rest of the bills. Either way, you having an issue with the state of affairs is reasonable. And yes, your foot, even more of the bill so I can do this thing with my friends we've already been advised is a terrible idea, isn't acceptable. What happens if the friend just walks off with the 100K? Or any of the friends? You covering more of costs because you earn a lot more is fine. That doesn't mean she gets to expect you to bankroll everything or live well beyond your means. OP is certainly not an AH, because OP's demand to his wife for contribution to their shared future is completely justifiable, particularly when it comes to significant purchases like home. Here, OP's wife is being unreasonable.